Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacconiana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to go a little bit deeper in answering the question that Travis Watson asked in the comments of a video last week, asking me what were some brands or styles of lighters that would be a good starting point for a beginning collector. So I came up with a list of 5 brands or types or maybe niches of lighter that every beginning collector should focus on, especially if cost efficiency is important to you. A lot of people get into the collecting hobby because of Zippo lighters. There's nothing wrong with that, but the Zippo hobby can be very expensive, especially if you get into all the special editions and collectibles of the year and all those. I don't know. I'm not even really a Zippo collector. I'm just a lighter collector in general with a few Zippos, a few new ones and a few old ones, mostly just for my own personal taste. So the vast majority of my collection is made up of exactly what Travis was asking me about. Lighters that I can get at a good price. I don't pay a lot for. I'm probably going to have to fix them. But once I've got them, and got them in working order, then the value at hand is significantly more than what I paid for it. Number 1 on our list is going to be Park Industries. Now the cool thing about Park Industries is not only do you get park lighters, but you've also got Storm King, and there were a number of other manufacturers that Park made lighters for. We've got some nice examples here, as you will see. Here is a two-sided etch and enamel type advertising model for AMI Armstrong Mold Company. That is heavy gauge brass, chrome plated case. Some of them are as this ATF lighter. It is an anodized aluminum case. Most of them will have aluminum inserts, but not all. Some of the older ones will have steel that is chrome plated. That one is aluminum. And then, of course, this is obviously a Park Industries lighter, though it is not marked as such in any way. The familiar can bottom that says Crestcraft, and Crestcraft was the brand that sort of hired out the manufacture of their lighters. A lot of them were made in Japan. So I have no doubt that that one is a Park Industries product. Now all of these Park lighters with the enamel, the sports, the different advertising. Most of these I got at an antique store here locally. Paid, I believe, $5 for it, maybe 10. I paid about $20, maybe a little bit more in an auction for that one. That's the one I paid the most for, I believe. The Moonshine Kills ATF badge. Then we'll move on to our second category. I should note also, I said this in the article, we're basically talking here about vintage petrol lighters that are sparked by flint. We're not talking about piezo. We're not talking about butane. And other than a few new Zippo lighters, we're not talking about new lighters. Now we also have aluminum block lighters, which are very common. These are mostly from the 1940s and 50s. You had excess material left over from the war effort. This particular aluminum block petrol lighter is not only very unique with its flint tension mechanism, but I believe it is also extremely rare. There are others, I have seen others on eBay with the Nika name, but not with this same flint tension mechanism. I don't think it's a prototype or anything like that. I just don't think there were very many of it made. But that's a really cool aluminum block petrol lighter. This is more along the general lines of what you're going to find as aluminum block lighters. Very basic, but different designers put their own spin and different nuances into each one. The next category was Japan-made lighters that are basically knockoffs of other recognizable lighters. This is a Continental Japan. Continental, I believe that CMC was a very significant brand from Japan coming into the United States in that era right after the Allied occupation. Now this particular lighter has a Zippo insert, a Zippo pipe insert in it. And that's a plus of some of these lighters is they will work interchangeably with Zippo or some of the other manufacturers, some of the other brands. Here is a really nice Conwall. A lot of people would call that a Zippo knockoff. I'm not so certain that Zippo was the first one to ever come up with this style of lighter, but a lot of people, that's what they would refer this to as a Zippo knockoff. I got this in an auction very inexpensively. And this fits several things for me. My father and all the time we spent in the garage working on Fords. These Conwall Japan are very nice. Others, these are actually sort of gumball type lighters, but they're made in Japan and all after the Ronson standard automatic type mechanism. Basically Ronson standard clones as far as the mechanism goes. These can all be found in various auctions very inaffordably, very suitable and very worthy of your collection, and they won't break the bank. Now these are going to be the most difficult of all the lighters you see up here. These Ronson type clones with these automatic mechanisms. Those are going to be the most difficult to repair because they probably have a curved flint tube and you're probably going to have to take the mechanism apart up here. But I've got plenty of videos to show you how to do that. There's really nothing to it. That's really the only intimidating part about maintenance on any of these lighters. We also have a couple of Zippo Slims. These are personal. I know a lot of men do not like the idea of carrying or using Zippo Slims, and that's fine. I don't have any of the really cool examples, and I have had some really nice ones. Some military lighters and the 1976 marijuana leaf lighter that I sold a few months ago. This particular lighter was maybe the first lighter that I ever bought with collecting in mind, even though I didn't know it at the time. I bought this in memory of my father. If you knew my dad, then that word, that name that is inscribed on this lighter may mean something to you. Otherwise, maybe not. But this is a very cherished lighter for me and one that I've talked about several times. When I bought it, I had the idea to give it away to somebody, and I probably still will, just maybe not that same person. Very cool though, and there's nothing wrong with Zippo Slims, especially for the price that you can get them. Now the last on the list was Champ Austria. Champ is an Arthur Dubsky design flip-top lighter, convertible windscreen. Very cool, very similar to the Zippo and the Park, but with its own nuances. And also, you can get into these for quite a bit less than a Zippo. And they display every bit as nice. I will say, as far as the Champ lighters go, it doesn't seem like there are too many of them with advertising. The only advertising I remember seeing was integrated into the wrap. It wasn't paint. I do remember seeing some etch and paint type sports series lighters from Champ. But Champ Austria, very cool lighters, very worthy for you to consider, especially if you're on a budget and you're just beginning out. I assume most folks are coming from the starting point of Zippos and how much it costs to get into Zippo collecting. And that's another thing that you can consider about collecting Zippos, is if you're not necessarily determined that they all be brand new in the box, then you can really find some bargains out there. This military lighter, Zippo, I believe it was from the 1980s. I can't remember what X was. Maybe the 1990s. Yeah, actually, I think it was the 1990s. Very elaborate, painted logo or whatever you would call that for the, I believe it was Carrier Air Wing 7, with all this engraving on the back. And I literally paid 99 cents plus like whatever it was for shipping, $4.99 for this lighter. Now, I know there are plenty of scratches, there's paint loss, but for you to tell me that this lighter isn't worth at least $10 or $20, that I should have been able to purchase this in a auction on eBay that everybody sees for $1 plus shipping, I'll take it every time with this kind of story, the engraving, the paint, and then we'll just see what comes of it. So there's my top 5 for beginning collectors to keep an eye on. And then also a bonus, remember, don't forget, Zippos that aren't new, sometimes you can get a bargain on them as well. Until next time.